Hello there, this is Noah Antweiler, also known as Spoonie, and I'm recording here with Linkara to talk about the Warrior comics 2, 3, and later on 4.
Ta-da!
We just kind of jump right into this, right?
Oh yeah, because it's just like it's what we do in this review. The thing was, with this one, I tried to follow the pattern that you had set up in Warrior Number One, though I kind of left out the theme song part of it. Actually, was there?
How
Yeah, there
much?
was a theme song in the first one.
Yeah, we jump into it once I agree to read the comic. But how much before this did you introduce Link Sano? Because I know he actually became a major character for a short while. He's kind of been in and out, but I don't think you introduced him long before this.
No, it was like about 5 or 6 episodes beforehand. He was always meant to be just kind of a secondary humorous villain after the serious Mechakara storyline. It's one something goofy, which is why I had it be his first appearance. He got hit in the face by a door.
Yeah. You can also see how much bigger my head is than yours in more than one way. That hat barely fits.
The other thing I remember about it is how you looked at yourself on camera and you thought yourself as I believe your exact words were dirty liquor store pervert.
And you're like, that's my uniform. That's my clothes. Now, I can't remember. Did we do all this in one setting? I remember we did this like the third day of shooting Kick-Assia, but I don't remember if we shot the intro before or after. You'll be able to tell because I'm way more sunburned at one point than I was. Because we got sunburned to crap, or at least I did.
This bit right here, I don't remember if it was one continuous bit or not. I think it might have been two, because I think like at one point we were just like so exhausted, or I had to go in and out because people kept demanding me.
Yeah, that was the way it was with a lot of Kick-Assia. I remember I think the first day of shooting, you really wanted to get this done, and the first day of shooting was basically all of the really hard physical activity, like all the running back and forth in the desert. And at the end of the first day, I was just whipped. But you had this boundless energy, and so like I was sunburned. I was frankly more than a little pissed off. Just not at anyone in particular, just the situation. And I was like, oh god, I just don't feel good. And we were all piling into the car to go back to Reno, and you're like, hey Spoonie, you want to go? We got to shoot that Warrior thing. And I'm just like, are you serious? And you're like, yeah, let's do this. We got to get this done. It's gonna be great.
I remember hearing you say that in your Kick-Assia commentary. I can't remember because it was so long ago, but I think I may have been kidding.
No, you were like, it was almost like we hadn't been working at all. You were at 100%. Seriously, you were on top of your game, and I was just like dead. I was so dead.
The reason why it seems kind of odd for me to think that I was serious about that was because I had a miserable first day shooting at Kick-Assia. My sinuses were acting up. The desert was dusty. I was like basically sick during most of it, so it seems kind of odd for me to suddenly suggest, okay, my nose is stuffed up, I feel sunburned as hell, let's do this, man.
Because I remember I told you were very insistent. I was in the car and I basically had my head up against the glass, and I was like, oh god, I can't. And you're like, come on Spoonie, let's do this. And I'm like Lewis, I love you, bro, but I'm seriously about to hit you right in the face. And you're like, okay, we'll do it later. Like, it was like that point where I was really trying to be polite, and I mean, I do love you, man. It was just like at that one day, you were just like, I'm like, you really want me to do the Dr. Insano thing? I am so tired. And
No, I get you. It may have been like that. I can't. It was so long ago. I can't remember that part. What I do remember
costume
is
that?
What was that?
The thing with the cravat, the wig and the never mind.
Oh, the pirate outfit.
Yeah.
The day before we started shooting Kick-Assia, we went out on the town looking for costume pieces, and we stopped at a couple of stores. And I think we stopped at like a junk store of some kind, which had like just random objects here and there. But there's also a costume section in the back, and I found this pirate shirt back there, and it was like $5. I bought it, and because I figured we needed extra costumes in between bits for Kick-Assia, and I thought it would work well for it.
Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, the thing that I remember most about this, actually, is that I was still writing it. like up until the time of shooting, I think.
I
Because I was in such a rush. I think I was looking over other people's crossovers. There was another crossover I think that I was doing that I was writing for. So I was just like, okay, Warrior, got to get this done. That night, I was still working on it. And I was like, done. Okay, finally, I got enough. We got enough here to work with.
This is one of the best ones we did, the silent film thing. Where we had the
Yes,
really
I think
I
this was my
love this
first.
one.
This was the first idea I had for a bit because the first thing that I did write was all the alternate universes, which included the silent one, the Wasoverse, and I think the women with men's voices was the other
yeah.
one that I'd come up with. Right,
That one confused
first.
Lindsay. I remember that one was like, we just kind of explained it to her, and she stared at us, and we were like, just do it, and she goes, okay. This was before I decided to put the Warrior in face paint. Very lazy costume of mine.
Well, like I said, I was just trying to follow the model that had been set up with the Warrior #1 review structurally. So I knew, okay, I need to have 2 Warrior bits where he's just spouting nonsense, and I have to have like the public domain music in the background, because usually in my reviews I don't have the music in the background. I've asked people, should I add music, and most people say don't add the music, it's distracting. But for these, that works.
Yeah, I remember I gave you one take of the Warrior where sometimes the Warrior actually doesn't yell and scream. He does this thing where he talks very deliberately and very like guttural, like way in the back of his throat. Oh, this is Pants on Head verse. But yeah, I gave you this one take I really liked where like I was holding the championship belt in front of my face and talking very slowly, and I really liked that one. But it didn't fit the theme. I was like, I loved it, but it was like you want to see the Warrior as being this manic crazy man.
My favorite bits of the Warrior are when he's not facing the camera and he's just ranting at the wall.
Yeah.
And I'm just so confused. What is he seeing over there that's more fascinating than the camera?
He's just trying to be crazy and like unconventional. That's all I can explain. But yeah, I wasn't really mad at you. I was just like, when I got back to the casino hotel on the first day, I literally like, I have actually never done this until then. I pitched forward on the bed and just fell asleep. Like, just immediately. I was so tired. And I think somebody tried to wake me up, and I just didn't respond. I can't even remember who. I was rooming with a couple people because I bounced around between rooms.
Yeah, I think you started with Mars Girl.
Yeah. Oh, he's trying to steal my shirt.
This confused me so much. What was your first thought of it? Of, man, he's trying to steal my shirt.
No,
What?
actually, no. He's
Why
trying
would
to
he
steal
try to
my
steal your
Abflex shirt. The Wiseovers.
Oh, that was so over. So many takes.
Don't worry about it.
Oh, Tommy this was before the critic did his review of The Room, so no one knew what the hell we were talking about unless they'd seen The Room.
Those 2 wigs, the black wig you've got on and the dreadlock wig, I have used those 2 wigs for more costumes than anything else.
I think that wig is also the '80s chick wig.
Yeah, and
I just like found that at like a Target or something. I was like, okay, it's just a black wig. It'll work, and it works so well for Wiseau hair.
yeah, and the dreadlock wig is the Warrior Turl from Battlefield Earth, and like one other character. Anyway.
The stuffed animals, that was another one that I knew had to come back because so many people loved the stuffed animal verse.
It really was friggin' cute. Just, honestly, it's kind of funny how much I've forgotten about this comic, and just looking back at it, how much, I think I said this in the review, but how much is actually said in this comic, but how little is accomplished, like... There's words on the page, but they lead to nothing, and they come from nothing, and it's just... You just see things, there's a light beam running around. Does it do anything? It crashes through a wall, and it's waving places,
Well, what fascinated me most was the introductory page where he explains what's the deal behind the colored boxes. He actually does explain it, but he says the first issue got it wrong.
Yeah.
Like what? What does it matter? Why don't you just swap the colors then?
Yeah, it's like just explain what the colors are now. He's like, no, we got to get this right.
So in your mind, just swap it around, and it's like, what's the point? And actually, the reason why I did 2 and 3 together was because I actually like zipped through the second issue, and I only had 5 pages written. I was like, oh man, this is going to be a really short review if I only do these two together. It just it would be so disappointing. We'd have like 3 alternate universes, and bam, we're done.
Well,
Like,
it's not like
no.
it's not for lack of trying. The second issue, nothing happens. I think really all that happens is there's a beam of light, and Warrior wakes up, and he starts to act like a dick. I don't even think that happens until issue 3. You know, there really is almost nothing that occurs in this comic. So the first one, there was all that weird stuff with the Jawas and the diving underwater and stuff like that, and trying to explain the weird terrain attestant. Where did this come from, the Matrix thing? Because you came up with this.
I love that sequence with Agent Smith. It's one of the few things I like about a Matrix Reloaded. So I've always wanted to just do that bit. Anytime someone mentions purpose, and I just want to repeat that dialogue because it's actually a really good piece of dialogue.
Yeah.
It's just really, and so I just said, hey, it'll be a great way to fit in a whole bunch of cameos at once. Although I don't usually point this out, but the reason I was desperately trying not to laugh because like on half a dozen takes we did of that because we kept screwing it up. Lindsay kept shoving her breasts into me.
I think you actually called her out on it one time, and you're like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Just." She was like meaning to do it. She's like, the
I was just like
fanboys
trying
love it.
to stop myself from giggling.
Oh god, this is where the tassels start talking.
Yeah. What?
This
Why
is
are
where
the tassels talking? And I love how the origin of the tassels is that he like ripped the flesh off of something and then tied them around his arms. Like
Yeah.
it's the most perfectly normal thing in the world.
Yeah, and this is actually where we introduce a third internal monologue. 1408 joke. Nobody got this.
I had just seen 1408 before coming to Kick-Assia, so I wrote that in as one of the alternate universe bits.
The invisible
Cheapest
verse.
alternate universe ever, Invisible Universe.
Is this the one where I can't remember now? All the alternate universes blurred together, where we did the bad acting verse? No, that was the first.
No,
one.
that was the first time, and that was brilliant.
Dr. Hulk Sano. Oh god.
People like Dr. Hulk Sano. They want him to come back.
I do a decent Hulk Hogan, if I do say so myself.
What you gonna do?
Honestly, my Hulk Hogan is way better than my Ultimate Warrior, but that's neither here nor there. Oh, and now we have Nega Warrior, or whatever he is.
Well, first we have the dog from
Oh,
Ghostbusters.
that is the dog.
And then we have Nego Warrior. It's just so confusing about what the hell. And yeah, he doesn't explain these. He goes through all the trouble of explaining the narrative captions, but then suddenly, bam, he hits us with new ones. That's the Warrior for you. He'll throw you a curveball.
And the action, that scene where he gets tackled is so weird. Like, nobody fights like this. Like, what's he doing? He's headbutting him in the chest, and
He's going straight for the Warrior's armpit.
that's really my main complaint when in comics a lot of times is when the action is so unclear, because that's kind of one of the main things that happens in superhero comics is fighting. That should be like the #1 rule. What's going on should be very, very clear. And it never is.
If there's one thing that I regret about this, I didn't realize it as I was writing, because I wrote a lot of the alternate universes before I wrote the voiceover bits. The one thing I slowly realized was that I did not realize at the time, but I was reusing this joke of what's going on? Wait, what is this? What's going on now? When I should just let the alternate universes speak for themselves.
Asshole.
Let's asphalt this asshole. I so want to use that in some.
What is
thing.
that? The green baby? What the fuck is that?
Becomes a star. The Warrior is the Star Child, obviously.
I just, he's throwing these images, and what was really funny? I actually was watching wrestling at the time. That WWF was really trying hard to come out with a bunch of comics, and so there was an Undertaker comic. I think there was a Stone Cold Steve Austin comic, and then just before that there was the Warrior comic, and the commentators on the wrestling show were actually trying to sell the Warrior comic, and I remember seeing one clip where Jerry Lawler is holding up the Warrior comic #1, and he's like, "You've got to see this. It's like nothing else I've ever seen." It's he's trying to sell it like it's a really cool thing. It's like I've never seen anything like this, but I don't think he actually read it because there's no way he could have sold it had he known that. But
In the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior, he mentions, yeah, it's an okay comic, but he should have gotten me to draw it.
well, Lawler did draw several of the comics, not these comics, but he did draw several WWF comics. He might have done. I can't remember
I don't
what it's
think this
called.
one worked quite as well. The sitcom universe.
Yeah. Where we hear the laugh track.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it was? It wasn't. We did episode 2 on one day, and then when we did the fight, we did that the last. We did that last, the fight, for obvious reasons.
That's it.
And that was when I was really sunburned and tired.
Well, the great thing about the Warrior reviews is that that the inconsistencies can be explained away by the fact that it's in a parallel universe.
Weren't you trying to do something with this character with the vest and the?
Yeah, I was thinking I would have some. This punk biker character, because I have this vest from my brother who just like put lots and lots of buttons on it, and it has like a cartoonish skull on the back, and I thought I'd end up doing something with it, but never did.
Yeah, I've done that.
And this barely readable text, I still don't get. Like, who the hell would look at this and say, yes, this is printable right here?
This is one of the more legible pages. Honestly, there's actually a contrast between the front and the back a little bit.
Just a little bit.
But when it gets to 4, as I recall, 4 was like the white, green, and red and stuff like that, where in fact, the words vanish completely. Yeah.
We passed over it earlier. This was also the introduction of Iron Liz. We had just started dating at the time. I think we had been dating for like 2 or 3 months or so, and I knew I wanted to have her show up on the show for my Linkara Lost arc. I didn't think she would like become like a. Actually, I was hoping she would become like a recurring character because it helps to have a second person around. But Mechakara.
It was one of the few comedic appearances of Mechakara.
I don't like to have him do a lot of comedic appearances, but yeah, I wanted to have Liz be in this too because I thought it'd be a great alternate universe because no one would know who the hell she was. And it did. It worked out really well for that. And oh my god, this woman's spine and her waist.
Her waist is actually way out of proportion with the rest of her body. That's the worst part. But also the inside of the limo. Whoever drew this has no understanding of the dimensions of a limousine. Because it's way bigger on the inside than the outside.
TARDIS limo.
I'm also amazed looking at this. There's actual cursing in a comic, which at the time you didn't see that.
Well, it helps that this was an independent comic.
Well, I mean, WWF was shilling for it, and to think that this was kind of marketed to kids. I mean, not in the Attitude Era, not so much, but kids did see this, and I don't recall this being one of those comics you had to have like parental approval. I mean, nowadays it's much more regulated when there's like ratings, and comic stores won't let a kid pick up stuff with really, really intense violence.
The Sentai Masks one was something I wrote while we were there, because of the fact that Mars Girl, she had those Sentai masks, and we knew we wanted to use them for Kick-Assia, but she had like 4 or 5 of them. I just like okay, this one. I just thought, okay, what are the words that the Warrior would never ever say? Like if he was singing,
If you want to be my lover.
Yeah.
And a crashing plane. Thank you, Warrior.
Is the plane in the terrain of Testament? What the hell is going on? And this huge, huge paragraph of text. I did that when I started writing Lightbringer. But you know what? I was an amateur and I was doing my own webcomic. This was a professionally published comic.
Jet Jack. You gotta love how he just invents words and then immediately clarifies what they are.
And he clarifies it twice. He needs to remind us of what Jet Jack is.
Frankly, I'm glad he did, because I would have forgotten. Splatter.
Gotta love sound effects in comic books.
The guy's got an NWO shirt. That's a WCW thing.
Yeah, and this New World, because I did one time, I decided to go through the entire Warrior Hulk Hogan feud on WCW since it was on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
So the NWO, I didn't catch that the first time. That's odd. When did this come out?
Oh, is this when he was? Oh, he's
yeah, because
actually.
this was the end of the third issue, the very last page, or like the
He's
back
trying to
page.
shill for a new artist.
How dare you get paid for your work?
Yeah, if you can see this is a completely different time of day in this footage, and I look like shit because I'm sunburned like crazy.
The other thing was, I don't think we reset up the lamp like we did earlier.
Yeah.
The reason why the lighting looks so good is because we took off a lampshade in the lamp and we set it over to the other side so the lighting would be equal.
This is really iconic of one of the reasons I hate shooting in hotel rooms. Because the lighting is... I don't know what it is about hotel rooms that they never have overhead lights. They're always lit by lamps.
I know, it's weird.
Which actually makes it very hard to shoot.
I can't tell you why that is.
You know, without overhead lamps, without overhead lights, you're shooting with lamps, and so you can never. If you have a lamp in the shot, you're backlighting the actors, and it never works out. So every time there's a change in angle, you have to move every light in the room out of the shot. It sucks.
And now we're coming up, and the Schlumper Brothers thing was a suggestion by fans, so I decided to include it in there just for the sake of. Just because the fans invented the name Dr. Link Sano to begin with, so I figured, you know what? This character is being more and more invented by the fans. Might as well make him the Schlumper brother.
You know, wasn't it CR who did the Dr. Insano familiar faces thing, where where
it turns out there's like 3 or 4 of you.
Yeah, he kind of explained that the Schlumpers were kind of a parallel Insano thing. And this is when we just decided every character from that guy was going to be an Insano from a different universe.
It helped that you had 4 of those, goggles hanging around. And of course, I just like to say that Hypertime is going nuts at this point, which is why Insano seem to disappear and reappear, and there's no continuity, even though we cut to the exact same angle of the shot.
I just had a lot of fun coming up with funny Insano names. There's Yankee J Sano, 8-Bit Mick Sano.
I used a whole bunch of Doctor Who sound effects for this. This is like a Cyberman gun with Mickey going nuts.
That is an itty-bitty book light that I had that looked like a little sci-fi prop, because when you turn it on, the little arm unfolds like a sci-fi gadget, and it didn't really work out here, but... Sonic screwdriver.
And it works so beautifully.
Joe, this was my favorite thing, where Barry was an Insano, and he's like a head crab, and he's piloting Benzai's body.
This was, I don't think we will never ever top the Insano fight because it's so goofy and full of science. And I remember at the time, Matthew was getting a lot of flack from people who were saying, because this was still early in his video career, and people were saying like, "Oh, we hate this guy, we hate him, he's not funny, we can't do this, blah blah blah," all that dumb crap. Mm-hmm. So I deliberately made it so that Film Braino or whatever, what his
Film
name
Braino
became. I had him, every single shot that he was fighting, he would always win. He had the science beams from his hands, and he had the sonic screwdriver. And I was getting short with Bennett because he was filming this, and I realized at the time, I'm not a director. I suck at directing.
Well, you were way better. You got better. This was not a good shoot. I mean, and I was getting short with you because you insisted on shooting it in order, which required me to change costumes virtually every shot. So I probably snapped at you once or twice, but I stopped caring. I was like, this is fun. We're on a shoot, so who cares? Oh, and now the worst scene in the movie.
And, well, first we got the shoe falling off your head, which I love that one.
Autofocus.
Yeah, the autofocus. This was actually better. There were 2 takes of this. This is actually the better take. The other one never went back from being blurry. I blame it. It's my camera. I should have turned on manual focus or something like that.
No, you couldn't know. Besides, we were coming up on it because we had to get sleep for the next day. That was I mean, was it perfect? No. But that was fun. And besides, we were dealing with this silly concept of the hyper time collapsing, And that's really been the whole. I actually thought we turned that into not a, I won't say a compelling storyline, but something that actually kind of did carry the Warrior series of comics, where Hyper Time is steadily collapsing, and by the end of the fourth one we fix it.
Good times. Oh yes, and at the very end of this, I don't like to do this anymore, but at the very end of this, we have the continuation where Mecha comes back to life. I don't like to do this anymore because I don't think people should have to follow my continuity by watching other people's videos. But for this crossover, I did include at the very end, because I knew there would be a lot of people who would watch it. The very end where Mecha eye turns back on.
Yeah, I think. Didn't I introduce Black Lantern Spoonie in a Linkara video? So like when all of a sudden I started
that crossover we did when we went to film the Alone in the Dark review.
So all of a sudden, like, Black Lantern Spoonie shows up in mine, and I'm like, wait, where did this come from?
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's
to
just...
be fair, you posted the crossover.
I did, but still, people were... Sometimes fans are like that, where they're just like, I only watch, Spoonie videos, or I only watch Linkara, so...
It would help if at some point you, like, actually collected the official order of Spoonie videos.
I think I did at one point. I don't know if I ever put them in order in a list. I need to get on that, because I know... I remember doing that.
And of course, yeah, the ending shot obviously filmed in my bathroom, but I figured it looked closest enough to
That's
this.
your bathroom? Oh, that's your bathroom. Okay.
Yeah, it looked close enough to this, to the science picture, which I think you gave me.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cybermen music.
Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll be back with Warrior 4 and the epic conclusion to the Hyper Time Insano saga.
Load the spaceship with the rocket fuel.